2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hardworking Happy Hour. I'm Sean.
And I'm Catherine, and as always, we'll be breaking down all things trades, entrepreneurship, and turning your creativity into a passion career.
Catherine, that was pretty lackluster. There was such low energy there for our first guest
I was
in
trying
the
to do
new
stuff on the computer, too.
studio.
Yeah.
New studio, first guest,
Yes.
Sean Francis.
Hello.
It's a strong-sounding name.
It really is. Apex
great
Home
name.
Design.
I don't
Now, is that your last name, Francis?
Yeah, I have 3 first names.
Okay.
Sean, Connor, Francis. Yeah, very Irish.
Okay.
Yeah,
that.
so.
Well,
but,
they say
Strong.
never trust anyone with 2 first names. You have 3,
No, I got
so I
3.
think it goes back.
No, it's even better.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
Really
You can
know,
trust me really well.
Like if you have 2 negatives, then they
Make
makes
a positive.
But then if you do the third
I
one,
think it ends up being a negative again.
exactly.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's positive. You have 3 first names,
Correct.
and really love that, Sean Francis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name's
Well,
Sean. My brother's
you're
name's
Sean.
Francis.
And
Yeah,
you're,
and you guys spelled the same way, too, right?
Yeah,
well, yeah, that's the only right way to spell it, though.
yeah.
Could you imagine the SHAWN?
No, no, that's just egregious.
It's just
I mean, it makes way more sense, like phonetically, but it's egregious. What did Aunt just say? He said Sean's short for Parmesan. Right?
Parmesan.
Parmesan. I like that a lot.
I like that.
So
Yeah.
I might start telling people.
I do love Parmesan.
Yeah. So you're an Irish guy.
A little bit.
You look
Yeah.
Italian.
Yeah. Well, I'm Maltese.
Maltese.
So yeah, do you guys know where Malta is?
I know the dogs.
It's a yeah. I'm a dog. No, there's a little island nation in the Mediterranean. It's like
Are they
60
known
miles.
for pearls? Is that?
No, I don't think so. No,
Maybe I'm thinking
no.
I'm thinking Mallorca. That's different.
That's not
yeah,
my place.
maybe.
Yep. Anyway,
Could be.
sorry.
But we're we're like 60 miles off the coast of Sicily. But we're like its own country. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah. So I'm
You
like,
been there?
Yeah,
Yeah?
a lot. Yeah, like 25 times or something.
Oh,
like that.
geez.
Yeah. I've been going there my whole life. I have more family there than I do here.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so
I'd like to go with you next time. It
yeah,
sounds amazing.
Come along. Yeah. So no,
Well, we're excited to have you on the podcast.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
First
for having
guest
me.
in the new studio.
Yeah.
I'm so
You okay?
excited. I can't talk. I just had a little bit of.
We have the same name. It's just super
Yeah.
It's just- I'm
overwhelming
so
right now.
excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited it's bubbling over, and I'm excited to get into this because I think you're going to have a similar but a lot of also unique perspectives on business and the trades and all that kind of stuff. I think we have
Yeah.
a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences within our businesses that we can get into, which will be cool.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Before we
You
get
think
into
it'll
all
be cool?
that, I just want to say, back to drinking. So
Back
we
to
are
drinking.
drinking. Well, I'm not. You guys are. What
Why
are you
aren't
drinking, Sean?
Why aren't you?
Still on the 75 hard thing, but we can
Oh.
just gloss over that. What are you guys drinking?
Okay. We'll do an update on 75 hard next week.
Yeah, we'll go back to it next
Okay.
week.
Rolling Rock.
What made you
The
choose that this week?
Rockiest of rolls. Okay, so here's the thing. I thought that I said 2 o'clock for the podcast. Did I say 1:30?
You said 1:30.
Okay, so
So-
You told me
I thought-
too.
I got here at 1:20.
I definitely sold. Yep, yeah. So I was going to be here around 1:30, which I thought,
Yeah.
wow, I'm going to be early for once.
Yeah.
Then ended up being late, so I ran into the store and
Grab
just
some
figured
Rolling Rock.
Just a grab and go situation.
grab and go. Yeah.
Okay, love that.
So
What are you drinking, Catherine?
Polar seltzer.
Nice.
Polar seltzers are
Ruby
great.
red grapefruit.
How do you feel about polar seltzers? Are you a seltzer drinker?
I am. In
Yeah.
fact, we usually get Polar, and grapefruit is my favorite flavor. So,
you want one of these too?
I'll probably chase this with that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Good, little 1-2
Pretty good.
punch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like if you drink LaCroix, you're just, you're just trying to act too fancy. When Polar has the best
Yeah.
flavors,
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I feel like the it's just
I don't
they're
think- it
next
doesn't
to
even
each
taste
other,
that good. I
and
don't
it's
know.
so expensive.
I like
it's
it.
I know.
This is better.
Yeah,
And is it LaCroix or LaCroix?
La Croix. I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, as you can see, we're getting into the really hard-hitting stuff today.
Right off the rip.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about our guests here instead of just different beverages. Sean, so
Yeah,
you
Sean.
grew up in the trades, family of tradespeople. Tell us a little bit about that kind of history.
Sort of. I grew up on the business administrative side, more on the white collar side, if you will. So Well, it goes even earlier than that. My grandfather was a woodworker, and he was like my main inspiration from getting into just working with tools, working with wood, making things. And I had an uncle who was a union carpenter, so a little different world of carpentry than what I'm into right now. But still, nonetheless, it was carpentry work and inspiration. But my father started a flooring company in '96. And I kind of grew up just like holding the other end of the tape measure with him and going into houses and, measuring floors. It was all mainly just measuring square footage and trying to figure out what product was going to be best and selling refinishing jobs, new hardwood floor jobs. We got into carpet. We did a lot of staircases too as time went on. So that was kind of the thing for a while. But yeah, the whole time I just I don't know, I was just kind of bored because it was just floors. It was just the one trade, and that's cool. I mean, if you have a passion in your craft with the one trade, but I would just always envy all the GCs that we were working for that got to take just a old house and just make it new again and be, their hands were on the whole thing the whole time. So, yeah.
So were you a big part of the business, growing up, it's summers and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And you were just because I imagine, because my dad had a construction company, so summers I would be picking shingles up off the ground and throwing them in the dumpster, just doing the really mundane labor stuff. And there was always an opportunity to go in, make a couple extra bucks. Mm-hmm. Were you just sent right out to measure stuff and do installation? Did he send you out with crews?
No, I guess I did. Yeah. So I started off with demo and prep for the guys. I even before I could drive, my dad would I'd on a Saturday, because I was in school, I should be. But on a Saturday, my dad would just drop me off at a job site, and I'd go pull carpet, and it just and I would pull the staples were the worst part. So the carpet, and I started bringing friends too. He would pay me for the job, and then I would just call some friends and kind of yeah, and I'd give them extra cash, and they'd come and give me a hand. But yeah, so pull all the carpet, pull the padding, and then I was just pulling staples for gosh, it's giving me PTSD just thinking about it. The amount of staples that I had to pull out when I was 13 years old was just ridiculous. But then I got my license, and then I could drive around and pull more staples. And then eventually he started showing me how to estimate, how to sell. That's his strong suit. He doesn't really know how to use a hammer, which is totally fine because he's got guys who do.
Yeah.
But man, he can sell. He knows how to run a smooth business, a good, honest business, and that's kind of the main thing that I took away from it. Because when I was ready to go off on my own, I mean, I had it backwards from most of my friends, which that went off on their own. A lot of guys, they learn the trade and they get really good at their craft, and they're what, I can go do this for other people on my own, make a little bit more money, but they just don't know how to do the business end and sell.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of a fortunate inversion on what the usual story is, because then I could, I didn't know what I was necessarily going to sell at times, but I just went out and sold it. Yeah. and sometimes there's a little bit of fake it till you make it in the beginning on some things, but not necessarily. I mean, as long as you had the right guy that could perform the task.
Yeah.
I knew I could make it happen. So, but yeah, growing up through the flooring company was a good setup, I would say, for propulsion into what I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My introduction into the owning my own business was pretty similar. Like you were saying, you didn't really have the carpentry skills per se.
Yeah.
You had the business stuff, and most people it's switched. So I kind of went into it with no carpentry experience and also no business experience. So
we're just blind,
just going right into it. And I can definitely relate to the fake it till you make it. Mm-hmm. And it's you were almost hesitant after you said it. I know we had the right people, and I always think the same thing when I tell my story about getting started. It's it was fake it till you make it, but it was it wasn't we're just going to like throw this together. It was like, you know, sometimes you say like, oh yeah, of course we can do that. Like, yeah, do I know how to build a deck? Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
And then like you go home, you do all your research. Like you make sure that it's done properly. So like
So much YouTube.
oh yeah, exactly. And that's one of the reasons I started doing it. Like I learned so much off of YouTube that I want to do that too. And I think like I always have the same feeling when you say fake it till you make it, and then you kind of like have to like explain yourself. Like, no, I wasn't just like out here like hacking stuff together. It was, but I have the same exact feeling about getting started and like not knowing what you're doing and just figuring it out as you go, which I think is the most valuable skill that you can have in business, because you're always going to have those situations, you know?
Yeah, no, I think it's also that it's like that hustle muscle of entrepreneurship that just like
Hustle muscle. I like that. Yeah, I never heard that.
you guys don't know what the hustle muscle is?
I can put it
the-
together. Yeah.
It's this. It's
Okay.
you know, like we have, you know, the
Oh, I
skills
was
and we
thinking
have the
something
and the knowledge. Oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
we have the skills and we have the knowledge up here, right? Like, but you know, to kind of have that, I guess like what fuels the ambition, you got to work that hustle muscle. That's in here, right? That's
Yeah.
your heart. So like, I think I just had that drive of entrepreneurship to kind of like, just like, all right, I don't know for sure that it's going to work out. Like, but I got to go out there and find out. And, or rather maybe like, I don't know what it's going to take, but like whatever it is, I'm just going to go and do it, right? To try to make it happen. Cause, I guess like, and going back to working for my dad, you know, you said you worked for your
Yeah.
dad, and you used to work for your dad?
I did not, no.
Okay.
All of my siblings did, but I did not.
Okay. But your dad also in the trades had a boat
Building
business. Yeah. So, like the thing was working with my dad was, it was nice because I had the opportunity there. And like when I dropped out of college and like everybody thought I was like a huge failure for doing that, like I had somewhere to go to do something, and I wasn't, you know, wasn't like making really any money, honestly. It was just kind of like, here, like go, you know, pull carpet out. And then he was like, here, okay, well, we'll teach you how to measure floors and all this stuff. I wasn't like doing that well, but it gave me an opportunity to like just learn and see what he did. But after a while, you know, like working with your families,
Yep.
it gets tough, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
like I love my dad. We have such a good relationship. But when you're just seeing each other like every single day, and then like you're living in the same house,
Oh yeah.
and then you see each other when you go home, and like sometimes you're driving in and going back together after like all day, you just start to, you know, sometimes you get a little sick of each other. And, you know, I guess, so in 2018 was when I started Apex, and that year was like the year of like, I was kind of like prepping, and I didn't know how to bring it up to him. I was like, oh man, yeah. I'm like, you know, I'm talking to our bookkeeper, Vimala. And I'm kind of like spilling the secret a little bit, but I don't want to tell my dad yet. And then finally I was just like, Dad, listen. He's like, I know. He's like, we're on the same page. Like this is going to be good for both of us, I think. So
He's like, I'm sick of you two. Get out of here.
basically,
That's I can definitely relate to that, because I didn't go to college initially. Like my plan was out of high school, I'm going to work for my dad. I'm going to take over the business eventually, and I guess I'm going to be rich, and you know, I don't know, have this booming business.
Yeah.
And that lasted, I'd say about 4 months maybe. And then it was like, this is the worst thing ever. I need to get out of here. I'm definitely going to college now. So, went to community college for a while, but it's like, was the understanding when you went to work for him initially, like, this is going to be the family business, like I'm going to work here until eventually you want to retire, and then was there any of that, or it was just like, this is a job right now? And
at first it was more like, okay, this is a job, but because I don't know, I kind of hit a dead end in college. I'm like, I don't really know what to do.
yeah.
So, it was a temporary thing at first, but then I just like really started liking working with people, like just the interaction with different people every day from all different walks of life, and just like helping them kind of get what, like, you know, be the guy that, okay, I want to do this. This is what I want. And like, I don't know how to get there, and like being the guy with the expertise to be able to make it happen. Like, I just liked helping people like that. So, as soon as I did that, I was like, all right, well, now I started to develop the idea, like I want to do something like this. I want to get into business for myself one day. But then for a while, I really wanted to take over Alpine, my dad's company.
Yeah.
I wanted to take over the business, and I just like reality set in, and I'm like, oh man, like how old was I then? I'm 20 years old or whatever. Yeah, I was like 20 years old, and I'm like, my dad's like 50, like he has time left.
Yeah.
Like he's not just gonna like sell me the business or whatever. And I had all this drive. I'm like, I want to try all these new things and all this stuff. My dad's just like, he's on a good path. He's like coasting. He's like, you know, go to work, make money, have fun, you know, whatever. And I just wanted to keep pushing the limits somehow, but it was just tough too, because like I couldn't make the business decisions, you know? So that's what led to me finally leaving, because I was like, I just want to go do something really cool. And like, you know, I felt held back, but he's still doing well. He's doing really well, actually, now that he kind of like downsized and he's making more money. So that's cool.
Best way to do it.
He like streamlined everything, and he's like doing really well. Yeah. So
does he, like in your business, does he try to give you advice? Does he try to get involved? Does he?
Yeah, he definitely advises me on things. You guys touched on it in like a recent episode too, just with like some customers who like are funny about like paying for things, and you know, I know you had like that one job where somebody, you know, paid for your design services and then like wanted money back after like all that hassle. Like my dad like just is an expert with like navigating around all that stuff, because he's been through those same type of situations for 30 plus years. And so like when those things happen, like he's the guy I call. But like if I'm on a job and like I'm trying to figure out how to get a makeup air in for a range hood and I have no space to bring it in or anything, like I'm not calling him. He has no idea what a makeup air is.
I just found out what that is.
Yeah.
Recently, Anthony told us.
Yeah,
cool.
Because there's all these like vents outside, and we're like, what the hell? What are all these vents in these new houses? And
it's code requirement.
Yeah, that's one of them. So good to know that kind of
Airflow.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
air's important.
apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
My house is just drafty, so I don't really like have to worry about that.
Mine as well. Yeah, mine's like so drafty.
It's not. My envelope is not sealed like a new house. So
Mine either. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, and I don't know what spurred this, there's so many things at my house that the wind rattles that could so easily be fixed.
Yeah.
I have a vent on the outside of my microwave, like it's above the range and not hooked up. Maybe it is hooked. You know, I don't even know. But there's like a metal flap on the outside. It's like a real old vent, and anytime the wind blows, it sounds like popcorn machines going off. And it's been like that since we moved in. And every time somebody new comes to our house, they're like, what is that?
What is that noise?
What is that, popcorn machine? And it would be like so easy to fix, and just haven't. Maybe I'm going to do that.
Well,
yeah,
Maybe I'm going to do that.
that's what happens when you try to do anything around your own house, when you're in the trades.
Yeah, so I don't even try to. I'm just like, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't do that kind of stuff. I try to lift with my voice at home. You know how I do that at work? Like, hey, do this. I try to do that at home, but there's nobody there to get it done.
Sarah doesn't like that.
Sarah doesn't like that, no.
Max, not so much help.
Max, not so much help yet. Not so much help yet. Yeah, but was there, like, when you left working for your dad, was it, like, completely amicable? Was there any, like, hostility whatsoever?
Oh, no. Yeah, no. It was a good mutual departure, and he was really excited for me. We still work together a lot. He's my flooring sub.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's, like, a whole other ball game, too.
Yeah.
Like, because the thing is, like there's always a job that they're doing something for us on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of tough for me to go to family dinner, you know, on a Sunday night at my parents' house, and for my dad and I to, like, not talk business at the table.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so easy to fall into talking about work. But, Yeah, no, he was super stoked for me. I was really excited, and it was going to help him out too, because like when I left, they there was just like, you know how this happens. I mean, sometimes before you know it, between like jobs with cash, you know, all of a sudden you get all these bills that rack up to your vendors, and it's like you kind of need that cash flow to keep everything moving good. So like it kind of worked out, because when I left, he had some stuff that he was paying for, and it was like between jobs, and he had some big jobs that were like between payments, and it was like the perfect time, because then like my salary that he wasn't paying anymore was like able to just kind of, he was like, all right, all of a sudden we're saving that money, and now we can just like put that into these different things that he wanted. And so for a number of different reasons, everybody was happy. And I mean, my business is still like registered to his showroom, so
Really?
yeah, so technically that's like our office, even though I don't use it as an office, but like that's like we're still connected.
Yeah.
I mean, he's also my dad, but
Yeah, I was going to be a little connected.
little connected there.
So, what was like the thinking behind you got out of flooring? You wanted to just be more involved with everything, and you do a lot of different things. You know, I know you've done on your website, you have a lot of different stuff, mostly kitchens and bathrooms. It seems like
that's the bread and butter.
Yeah. What kind of like, what was it an evolution into that, or was it kind of like, I want to start my own business and I like kitchens and bathrooms primarily, like, or was it just, I'm taking whatever I can get and then whittle it down to, I like these two things?
Yeah. So I think I just got bored of, being the guy just doing floors all the time. And I picked up a couple things along the way from other GCs that I was working for. There were builders that were bringing us in for new construction jobs, and I would just learn some stuff along the way. Any kind of like little nugget that I could pick up from any builder, I would just store, because I just felt it brewing. I felt like one day I would want to get into that. And a couple years before I left, I started doing some renovations. So basically we would go in, I'd look at a job, I'd measure floors, and then it just so happens that the client would also be looking to do something else, be like, hey, do you know a trim carpenter? Do you know a painter? Do you know anybody that can take care of these things for us? And we knew some guys in the business just from, doing floors. I usually meet other guys on the job sites. So we had some friends in the business. So I would just start to sub them out. And it's funny, because thinking back to it now, like I never ever did my due diligence and make sure, like, were they insured? Yeah. That's a big one. I didn't qualify my subs like I do now. And so there was a bit of a learning curve, and there was some, jobs that we were ghosted on and things like that. But I just, like, little by little, I would just, start to expand our services, but we weren't totally like advertising as that yet. It was just kind of like flooring was getting my foot in the door. And then like we would just go and do other things until eventually it started to become like, okay, hey, can you do my kitchen? And like, I wasn't a carpenter. I dabbled. I learned some things from the guys on site. I knew how to install flooring, but like I couldn't install cabinets. I couldn't trim, well, maybe base and shoe, but I couldn't do like coffered ceilings or any kind of like decorative paneling or anything like that. And, but like I would just find the guys that could, whether that mean like just asking around at the local lumberyard, like literally that's how I did it. Or just calling up builders that I worked with and like trying to see if anybody would be able to like, or would be willing to share some of their subs. Everybody just kind of like, a lot of people just hang on to them and don't want to like share their info. So did that for a little bit. And then, like when I was 19, I landed this like $350,000 renovation. And
you must have been good at sales.
but yeah, so that definitely is my strong suit. But man, like I was totally in over my head. I mean, just like so many things went wrong. I didn't know what fire stopping was, and like we failed inspection for fire stopping, and then like the inspector taught me what it was, and then I had to fix it, and like I delayed the job a week, and then I didn't know that wasn't where it ended. It like went on from there. Like there was no nail plates on anything. I wasn't putting floor protection down throughout the house like I should have been. I'm like, oh, like you're the plumber, like don't you have runners? Like just run runners all the way up to the bathroom or whatever it is. Like, it was just kind of a mess, but we figured it out. We got through it. And, yeah, it was just kind of like, you know, that, again, I cringe when I say it, but that fake it till you make it vibe that we talked about earlier, like that just kind of, that's how it started. And then, I felt super confident by the time I left. And so December 2018 is when I formed Apex. And, yeah, at that moment, I was like, okay, I've learned enough from my own mistakes and some others for guys that we've worked on that I feel like I probably could be safe if I start now. Like, I think I'll be able to make enough money to still support, you know, my wife's and my lifestyle. And I think that, you know, like I probably won't get burned the way we got burned. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it, you know, that's kind of how I got started. So, and ever since then, I mean, listen, we're learning every day. Like, that's the cool thing about this business. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you could, like, anybody in this business that, you know, is a builder, like, or specifically in your craft, like, you want to become the best that you can be in your craft, but like, you're pretty much always learning. And I don't think we'll ever reach that full potential before we die of like, you are the possible, like, best deck builder in the world. And you know every single little thing, because there's always another wrench that gets thrown into the mix at some point. Yeah, that you got to figure out, you know.
And Anthony would have to die first. I'll never surpass him. So
where is he?
He's probably gonna. Well, you know what? He's probably cleaning up the stone veneer that we left off. But sorry, Ant's probably gonna listen. He never listens when it's just us, but he's gonna listen to this one because he was pretty psyched that you were gonna be on. So Ant, sorry.
Miss you, Ant.
But it was important that we got here.
Yep.
And even as early as we left, we were still a little bit late. So thank God I didn't clean up that veneer.
So when you were selling these jobs at 19, did you ever like run any issues with like customers and your age? Like, did they ever?
Oh, every time they'd look at me and be like, "How old are you?" And I'd tell them, I'd be like, "I'm 19."
Yeah.
Speaking of which, how old are you now?
I'm 27.
Okay.
So yeah.
Can you ask that? Is that like a? I feel like that's like a.
Yeah, this is 23.
Is that rude?
Can't ask me my age.
Yeah.
It was not. He answered on his own volition. He could have pled the fifth, and I would not have been able to do anything about that. But he did. He did answer. 27.
Yeah, no, age always got in the way. Still sometimes does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really grow a beard, so like, I have the baby face, and it just will always be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
How did you overcome that? Did you just? You were like, listen,
just honestly, a lot of guys in the trades. Well, okay, a lot of guys that sell that, you know, like rely mostly on their subs, like I was then. They just kind of go off of the whole, okay, well, if the client trusts me, then we're fine, right? So they only go off that trust basis, and like not a lot of guys like seem to really talk about all the particulars of the project in grave detail. It's just kind of like, and that's kind of how I was taught too. Like, it was that's kind of why I was selling the way I was in the very beginning. It was more of like, okay, if I can get them to like me, right? Which is a lot of self-help books kind of talk about this, but like, if I can get them to like me, then like they'll trust me, and then I got my foot in the door, and then we can do whatever it is, and I'll figure it out. But the more I found that I was talking about all this like construction terminology and stuff that I was just like recently learning, but like just constantly just kind of like running circles around their mind with all this stuff, they would just kind of be like, whoa, all right. Like I get you're young, but you obviously know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know what I'm going to get, but I'll know that I'll get it. You know, we'll do this with you, like that type of thing. So I kind of had to do that because like, it's kind of tough for you to develop that trust factor with a kid when you're talking about a renovation that you might only do once, maybe twice in your lifetime. You know, not a lot of people do renovations like regularly. Like we all live in this, right? We're always doing stuff for people, but like for the client, you know, that, you know, like when you go do a really nice backyard for somebody, that's probably the only time they're ever going to do that type of job.
Yeah.
So it's tough to listen to, you know, like a 19-year-old kid and be like, yeah, here's my money, go do it.
So it's like kind of a little bit of like overcompensating with the technical stuff and the just to like prove that you do know what you're talking about. And I think I went through a lot of that as well. I was, I guess, how old am I now? I was like 26, I guess, when I started, and didn't have as much gray, so I looked a lot younger. And it was the same kind of thing. It's these people are going to be doing this like once, maybe twice in their life, so you really had to like prove yourself that you knew what you were doing, that they could trust you, because even with the jobs were a lot smaller back then, but it was still like a significant investment for those clients at the time. You know what I mean? So now we're doing much bigger projects, but the clients' means have scaled as well. So those clients that were only spending 30 grand 6-7 years ago, that was still an equal investment for them that a $200,000 project is now for the clients that we're working for. So it's still like you still have to prove that same amount of trustworthiness. And I think if you are younger, you have to do that through talking about the technical stuff, because you don't have that like, typical contractor look where you could just look at somebody and be like if Ant came in, I'd be like, this guy knows carpentry, obviously. Look at him. He looks like a carpenter. Here you go.
You're absolutely right. And that was like now, it's totally different now. I mean, once you develop a portfolio, you have a reputation, you have an online presence that people can go to and kind of like just have an idea of who you already are before they even meet you. Like it's totally different now. And it's a lot easier to close on projects than it was obviously in the beginning, but there was just no way I could get around it other than, being young and in the business, like than that. And the other thing too, that was like also kind of a challenge was like, it's not like they could, like if they went to go talk to my dad, who's the owner of the company, or like some of the other sales guys that were working there, they couldn't they weren't doing any of that stuff. They were just floors.
Yeah.
There was no, like, let me talk to the owner about what's going on in this kitchen. It's taking forever. Like, cause my dad's like, wait, what? We're doing a kitchen? So, but, nowadays, we're having a lot of fun, and we're like kitchen and bath is our bread and butter. We do a lot of, like custom built-ins, millwork jobs. Those are my favorite, cause like I can just get in and out and make something really cool, not have to like go to the township for it. We're constantly going to the township for projects, but if I can like also do some where I don't have to deal with permits, it's cool. And we do everything, like by the book too. So it's like, we're not like doing anything that should be inspected that wouldn't be. It's nice when we can get those, like, an entertainment center, in an existing family room, like stuff like that. Like I love doing stuff like that. And yeah, so I think that's kind of our niche right now, but sometimes we build decks.
Yeah, I was pretty excited to see the covered deck project that you're doing, because I know I've seen some pictures of some decks that you've done, but I don't think since I've really been following you, I've seen really anything besides mostly kitchens and baths. And it's cool to see other people that are mostly doing that stuff to like, oh, let's see what they do with a deck, because I think it's really cool, because you usually see like some interesting ideas and ways of doing things, because you're coming from like thinking about something like, this is how we would do it in a kitchen, let's do it like this on the deck. And if you just follow like other deck builders and stuff, it's just kind of like not everybody's doing the same thing, but it's cool to see some like outside of the box thinking. And I always see that with people that are typically doing other stuff like interior work, and then they go and do a deck, and like they're doing a lot of stuff how they would do trim work, and it's like it's pretty cool. I always get a couple ideas from that. So bar set pretty high. I'm going to be looking to you for some inspiration, so don't disappoint.
Well, the cool thing that's the cool thing about carpentry, though, right? Like once you understand the fundamentals, it's like you can just go build anything you want.
Yeah,
that's I feel like I say that so often, because often it comes up. They're like, usually with friends, whatever, you're at the bar, they're just like, how do you know how to build these things? And it's just like, once you figure out like, okay, like level plumb, square, true, like how to use a tape measure, how to find an angle, and it's really just comes down to, okay, well, how do these specific materials get fastened to each other? Things to worry about if you're outside with water and all that stuff. But like, once you understand the fundamentals of actually measuring and cutting things and how they get fastened, it's all the same. It's similar.
Yeah.
A bunch of different little caveats, but like, that's why, like, yeah, we're building a deck. It's not really our thing, but like, we understand, we have a good understanding of what we have to do. I've learned a heck of a lot of following you over the years. I don't know. Do you remember when I called you like 3 years ago? I was in trouble on a deck job. I called, like, I
think so.
I somehow
Yeah.
found a number and I called you. We had this one deck. This was like one of the first decks I ever built. It was, like 4 years ago. It was one of the first decks I ever built. And, well, for a customer.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we had, we built this like just one tier. It was like a 16 by 30, single flat deck. And, she wanted a privacy wall on the left side.
Yeah, I remember.
And I didn't I already had decking down and we were putting the railings on and we did like 4x4, treated posts that got the Trex sleeves and the Transcend like plastic railings and all that stuff. It wasn't like, it wasn't a Premier Outdoor Living job. It was a deck. And so Trex makes fencing.
Yeah.
And so we bought some fencing to put in her yard. We were like, yeah, sure, we'll build you a fence. Like I've never built a fence, but like we'll do it. And then she wanted to do that same thing as a privacy wall on her deck, but like it was just so flimsy.
Yeah.
So I remember calling you trying to find out like how do I make this strong?
What did you end up doing? I do remember that.
I cut through the decking and like we dropped the 4x4s down into it and just like blocked it out like crazy and just like added carriage bolts and stuff and just tried to make it as strong as possible. But it's tough because like in retrospect, I would have incorporated that to be one of the posts of the deck that went all the way down to the footing.
Yeah.
So it's like really strong because then it's got like it's anchored and then it has like that midway stability of the deck itself.
Yep.
And then, but this kind of ended. So like it had a little bit of like a wobble, but it wasn't like.
It's for expansion and contraction.
Yeah. And she was super happy. And she's one of those customers that like checks up on me just to like see how I'm doing and stuff. So like
That's
she
awesome.
was great. Yeah. So, but, yeah, that was like the first time we ever
That's
talked.
funny.
Was
Yeah, you got to tell people like, a little like trees sway in the wind, so that if they were stiff, they would fall down. So it has some give to it.
Yeah,
You
gotta have
it's
it.
supposed to be
Well,
this
buildings
way.
move.
Yeah,
wind?
skyscrapers.
Exactly. I'm still reading a book about that. Still not finished that book.
No?
Cameron
so-
Haynes
Okay.
wrote about buildings.
No. Read that one. Got through that.
Oh, you
really
got through
fast.
it?
Oh
Wow.
yeah. Yep. I endured through it.
Nice.
Yep. I've been doing audiobooks, but this book I'm talking about is about super tall buildings, and it's a paper book. So I've been reading it for, I don't know.
You've been talking about it for like roughly 5 months, I'd say.
Oh no, it's been longer than that. It's been way longer than that. Yeah. But it's so interesting. I really recommend it. You'd probably love it.
What's
it's
it called?
Super Tall,
Super tall.
and it's about super tall buildings.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. So I think
Sounds
you'd like
a
it.
really good book for me. Super tall.
Talk to me about, because I've noticed you're doing a lot of like really high end stuff. You're doing a lot of like high design, high
so,
quality stuff like that.
I don't know though. Like there's so much. Isn't that crazy? Like I thought I was high end for a little while, and then it's just like I see like what some of these other guys are working on, and it's like I feel, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm more like middle of the road, even, and we're doing a lot. You know? But like, it's sorry. Finish your question.
I totally get what you're saying, because like people will, anybody that's like not at the level that you're at now looks at the stuff that you're doing and is like, oh my God, that's insane. I can't even imagine doing that. But meanwhile, you're looking at, you know, people that are doing these insane custom homes, and you're like, well, I'm nowhere near that. And that's how I always looked at it. Like, how could I get a big head about, like, I don't know, just building like decks and patios? Like, okay, like people are doing so much crazier stuff, like building super tall buildings. So how can you get an ego about it? So I love where your head's at with that. but you still are doing really nice, awesome work. So
Thank you.
Give yourself a pat on the back.
Thanks.
Catherine, let's give him a round of applause.
It's not-
Let's give him a round of applause.
Yes.
But what is that? How are you acquiring these jobs? Is it through word of mouth? Are you leading the charge on design? Like, how is that all?
Yeah,
coming together?
I wish I was leading the charge on design. It's tough because I just get myself into these situations where it's like, okay, like right now, right? Like it's a perfect example, and I know where it's going to go unless I can break the habit. But like we're in this period of sales right now. Like we're not booked out really far. I used to book out, like I would book up the whole year, and then I would drive myself insane because I'm like I don't want to think about 9 months from now, like on all these jobs when I have all these other jobs we got to manage and design and all this stuff. So like now we're booked for a couple of months, and there's like tons of leads pouring in, and there's all this stuff we're looking at, and some of them are really cool jobs, and some of them are just jobs to kind of like pay the bills, and we do it all. But like I would love to be able to have the full charge on the design and do all that, but the fact of the matter is right now, with our labor power, like I got to be in the field more than I want to be. I love being in the field, but I would love to be able to like hop back in the truck and just like crush a couple things in there for like an hour or two and then jump back in.
You need a van.
But I haven't. Yeah, I need a van. I need a van. I need a Tony.
Yeah.
I need a Catherine.
These are all helpful things.
Yeah,
They are,
yeah.
yeah.
Like
They really
I need a fuller team, and we really do. Like last year, we started working on just like working with other people. I'm part of a really really cool team now of other like-minded contractors that like instead of us being competitors, we just kind of like help each other out. We share labor, we share contacts, we help each other. Like we'll literally go to their job sites and build with them. They'll come to my job sites, build with me when we're like in dire need of like that extra help to get something done. Like we can go in and like crush out a whole kitchen install in a day versus like Mark and I doing it over a period of a few days, and it just like frees up the rest of that time in the schedule. So that's cool, but it would be really cool to have more of a solid team on staff where I could like focus on those designs. But the rest of the jobs that are like where we're acquiring them would be, it's mostly word of mouth. I would say like how they actually hear about Apex is mostly word of mouth, like just from our clients talking. But what kind of helps seal the deal is when they just see like what we have posted. And like, honestly, I'm like on Instagram. I mean, you guys got this like locked down. Like you guys are really good with like producing content and just constantly like making like I need to learn how to do that better. But you guys, like when you're on a job site, you can take like one stupid little task and make a cool video about it. And it's just like, it's like super satisfying stuff to watch. Like that's the cool thing about construction, right? Especially like when it's like really nice, pretty colors and the stuff that you guys are building, like it's really satisfying. But like people, when I feel like my Instagram isn't necessarily me trying to acquire, I'm not trying to like acquire or like find the lead through that. It's more like when the lead does come in, they see our Instagram and then like half the sales work is done because they see the product, they know who we are and kind of what our behavior is like, and like they feel like they kind of know our story already. And kind of touching on that, it's like, it's funny because it's kind of like, I've had clients say this before where it's like, it's almost like them hiring us is like them kind of wanting to be a part of the story, but it's not,
Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting too deep with that. But
no, I don't think so.
But that's how we get our jobs. That's
Yeah.
literally how it is. Like the website is good too, and that's all just like professional photos and stuff. But like the Instagram is like just a page that they can go onto and just see who we are. And there's a lot of guys in this business who are much better than me at building, and they've been doing it a lot longer. But they just like don't represent themselves well, and it's hard for people to find them, and like they'll hear about them. But there's a huge advantage you have over the competitor when they can like, first thing that they're going to do is go on their phone and be like, all right, whatever, Apex Home Design here.
Yeah.
Like if they go and type in, you know, Sean Francis Construction,
Yeah.
or if another Sean Francis, like down, you know,
Joe Schmo Construction.
Joe Schmo's Construction. Like maybe if there's a website, it's
Yeah.
like, you know, it's broken
Yeah.
or something.
It's a
You know what I
.net
mean?
From 99.
And like
Yeah.
instantly they have that connection with you that they don't have with somebody else.
Yeah. Did you by any chance see a public speaking engagement at the Deck Superstore in Colorado just a couple months ago? Because we talked about a lot of this stuff. It's
Yeah.
like you were there. We did our, I don't know if we mentioned this, we did one public speaking engagement. One. But there's probably going to be more.
Yeah,
Sweet.
they're going to come
But
rolling in now.
I
but-
think so,
Are
probably.
you guys going to JLC?
Did you say, are we going to jail?
Are you going to JLC?
We are going to JLC,
Yeah,
yeah.
going to
Cool.
jail.
All right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not going to
We're
jail.
we're actually doing a speaking engagement there as well.
What day?
Well, I didn't tell you about it, and no one else knows about it, but we are. Yeah,
We're going to.
I was
okay.
gonna bring a sound system and just kind of stand on top of
see you
something.
there.
Yeah.
But no, that's something that we've talked about on the podcast, and we did talk about as part of our presentation
Yeah,
on
yeah.
branding was there is a new word of mouth. It's a lot of times it is somebody in the neighborhood that says, "Oh yeah, we used Sean Francis from Apex Home Design," and they're like, "Oh, that's great," but they're not gonna like go and be like, "Okay, what is his phone number? Let me type this in." And hello, Sean, I
Yeah.
heard about you. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. What is it? Apex? Okay. Oh yeah, I'm on their website. Cool. Like that is. It might not be where the lead comes from, but it's like there to like nurture that lead. And then by the time they do call you, if they do, they've already kind of like made a decision in their mind of this is the type of company I want to work with. You know, so like
Right.
like you said, most of the work is done. It's then your job to lose essentially, as long as everything else kind of like lines up and makes sense and is authentic to what you've presented. So I think that's what we try to do with our social media. It's like, and people do want to be a part of it. If you can kind of like portray that fun experience that they're going to have, the experience is a big part of it.
Until they
Especially-
find out that we're like $50,000 off from what their budget is. And
Oh, well, that's just part of doing business. I mean, so that's actually a good point. Because are you working alongside a designer? Are you kind of like designing it with the homeowner? Say on
Well-
like a typical kitchen.
yeah, so the most popular project basically consists of us starting off with some inspiration from Pinterest or whatever they find on Instagram, and me getting a vibe for like what they like, and I just kind of like help guide them through that. We're not built right now to start, you know, giving like providing renderings, like full renderings of everything. I would love to just like learn how to do all of that. And I've dabbled, but I already do too much at home outside of work
Yeah.
that like if I were to throw that in, like then like my wife would never see me. like she, like I already I'm like trying to make more time to be around at home, and like it's just like I need to figure out a way to remove myself to do that. But we do work with some designers, but for the most part, I'm kind of like working hand in hand with the client. It's not like totally just, okay, Sean, here, like design me a new space. Like I've done jobs like that,
Yeah.
and I love that. It's so fun. Like just to have that creative liberty and freedom. Like I love those jobs.
Yeah.
But for me, that's kind of a rarity. And so I have a good solid network of vendors that when I send my clients out to them, like they know what I'm into, and they'll know like Sean's gonna hate that.
Yeah.
So like I can't go and hold their hands at like every single you know, the tile shop, at the countertop supplier, or like when we pick out cabinets and stuff. And we build a lot of our own cabinets. It's just working with the customer, I am able to kind of control it better than if we work with the designer. Great. Like I'll have renderings to go off of usually and a plan, and I just execute. And the cool part is usually like when you actually have like a designer that's doing it that isn't also like the builder, we usually end up doing more cutting edge type design.
Yeah.
You know, you see all this wacky stuff going on in like Bergen County that like I think it's cool to like get into some of that. Just like super gloss like emerald green tile up the wall or something
Yeah.
like that, like fun stuff like that versus your typical like white and gray bathroom that everybody wants to do, like where I live.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, right now it's all just kind of a combination of me and the client. And, I feel super, what's the word? Flattered about what you said before with like us doing like high end work and stuff. But like, I do always have this feeling that we could be better. And like, one of the things is I feel like we could really be more consistent in putting out like next level work instead of, I feel like on every job, there's always like that one thing that I'm like, well, the client wanted to do this, but it wasn't like, I kind of disagreed.
Yeah.
And we kind of settled on that one spot. And it didn't, I feel like it kind of stole a little bit of the light that this project could have had.
Yeah. I think like you're always going to feel that way. Like I always feel that way. I always look at what we do as like, yeah, it's cool. I'm really proud of it. I think, we're all doing the best that we can. We're all trying really hard to make a cool backyard, but at the same time I look at it, I've only been doing this for 8 years, and when I started 8 years ago, like I had no clue what I was doing. So like all I look at it is I'm just trying to get better as a designer, as a builder, as a leader, at all these things. Like I don't know how anybody can have like a big head about themselves when there's just so much. It's obvious how much there is to learn out there and how much growth there is for everybody. And when you talk to people that you look up to that really are building like insane things, they always have the same attitude. Like they could be somewhere, 10 levels above where we're at right now. And the people that get to that level, they're like, yeah, I'm just, there's a lot of people doing other cool stuff. They have that same mentality, and that's what helps you get there, I think. So I think even when you do get to that point of the people that you look up to now, you're probably still going to have that same attitude. And that attitude is what got you there. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? That make any sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
A little bit?
I would say.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's good.
We're still figuring it out, every day.
Yeah.
Like, even though that's the funny thing, like even Instagram page might make it seem like we have it all figured out, but we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a highlight reel.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you started the business, you were like, now I mean, if you watch like our YouTube stuff, it's like mostly the entire thing is just like me acting like an idiot and like just being like, what's going on? But like in the beginning, I really didn't know what I was doing, and I had to act like I knew everything. Now that I feel like I'm comfortable with what I do know, I'm comfortable with what I don't know. Now I'm just comfortable to be like, all of our portfolio kind of speaks for itself. This is what we provide. And now I can just be myself and act like a goofball.
Yeah.
And not worry about it. I don't have to like put on this like facade of being like, I'm a professional.
Yeah.
You know?
No, absolutely. We feel the same way. I mean, you have to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you make it serious and you take the fun out of it, like, I mean, you guys do a great job with job site morale. At least that's the way it looks. But no, that I envy that. I mean, like we have a good time on the job too. But remember, like a lot of days it's just me and Mark, and when it's just two people, like we'll keep morale up as much as we can. But like when it's just two guys, the flow is a little different. And when there's a whole group there, it's just like it's more fun in general. So when I get those opportunities, when like I was telling you, like my friends that I work with a lot, when they come in and work with us, like, man, the music's bumping, like we're crushing it, like just everybody, it's just like we have like, we'll spend a half an hour in the morning just like bullshitting, and then like we'll go through and talk about what we have to get done. And as soon as we start, it's like go, go, go. But like we're moving, we're joking, we're having a good time, and like you gotta do that. And I definitely feel a little bit more comfortable now, especially with clients. Like they know I'm a goofball already, like from Instagram. I mean, like we did this job for this guy out of Morristown, and really like cool job. We renovated. He had like 8 bathrooms and we renovated 4 of them.
Wow.
And like it was a very professional relationship with each other for like the first like month.
Yeah.
Like no joking. And like he was just a very serious guy at first. Then I kind of broke through the ice and we started like joke around a little bit. And then like I posted pictures of his bathroom, like, look, here's a picture of another room that people poop in. And like that's how I advertised it. Like,
I think it's even more important with the type of renovations that you do. Like you're inside people's houses, like the person that they're going to let into their house, like that's an even bigger like part of the decision than it is necessarily for us because we're outside. You know, we're in the backyard. I still think it's super important, but like your personality is one of your biggest selling points. So I think a lot of people still do have that thought that they need to like act super professional and like be all buttoned up. And like, I think it's okay. And it's good to like show your personality because that's part of what you're selling. You're selling the experience that they're going to have with you.
Well, like we said before, you know, if you know, when they kind of get an idea of who you are before you even show up for the estimate, like, or when they call you, you know, like part of that is them understanding. They have to understand who you are. So when you just kind of like put it out there, you know, like, listen, we do really good work, but we're also like, it's okay to be goofy, you know, and for them to see that. I think it's an attractive trait that most people would probably get behind. I don't think anybody looks at, you know, us posting funny videos and, you know, like when you do the Q&A Fridays and like everybody's, you know, like sometimes the answers are just like hysterical and it's just like, you guys are shooting the shit on the job site. Like, I think most of the time, like when you guys do the Q&A Fridays and you guys are having a good time on the job site, I feel like when clients see that, they want to be a part of that fun. They like want you to be working at their house. Like it's part of the experience, you know, it's not just getting the deck built. It's also just like having that whole experience of you guys building the deck.
Yeah.
Like while you're there, I mean, I'm sure you've had this before, but like we have some jobs, not every job. Some jobs are like that pure, just like professional relationship, like very cookie cutter, you know, like here's my money, you build this. And that happens. But like a lot of jobs, like, well, especially if it's a long one, it's super intimate because we're in the house, right? Yeah. And we're like the kids are getting ready to go to school and we're in there like building a kitchen. Yeah. And we make friends and become close with the family over time. And when we go to leave, like we have jobs where they're like, oh, we're going to miss you.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, thank you. Like we're happy that we can use this space again. You know, we handed it back over to them, but it's all part of it.
It is like almost a little bit like awkward at the end when it's just like,
yeah, it's like, all right, I'll never see you again. Bye.
Like, unless you have a problem with something, I guess.
Yeah.
This is bye. I don't know. We've been hanging out every day for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird.
Yeah, I always think that's confusing for like the kids.
Oh yeah, they're gonna probably be in therapy. Like there was this guy that was kind of
my friend. He lived with us like for 2 months, and then
my
he just
uncle.
left.
Catherine was sleeping
for like
in the
2
van.
months.
Yeah, the last family that our van is just parked out there all the time, and they know that I drive the van, so they like the son was like, we left it overnight one night, and the son was like, invite Catherine in for dinner. She's still here. She slept in the van. Like
he was very.
You thought you were just sleeping in the driveway.
He was so concerned. He's like, "What did you eat? Did you have snacks in there? Like you were here all night." It was really cute.
Yeah,
it's cute.
Well,
all right. Yeah, we're up at our happy hour, but I need to ask about the pilot thing.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that.
I know. I've been dying to ask about it.
We kept talking about how we were going to talk about that.
I know. So you're taking flight lessons?
Yeah. So that is, other than carpentry and building things, that is like my other passion is aviation. So I actually just took the FAA private pilot written exam yesterday. I passed.
Congratulations.
Okay. Thank you. So next is my check ride, which is in a month. And then assuming all goes well, then I'll be a private pilot. Yeah,
that's so cool. Yeah. How did you get into that? What made you want to do that?
My wife and I I've traveled a lot throughout. Well, like I said, I was, like flying to Malta, like that, but also like I've been to other parts of Europe and stuff, and like some places over here. And my wife and I, like every time we travel, I'm always like super geeked out by everything with the airplane, and I love flying, and like I love when it's turbulent. Like she hates it, and she's like grabbing my hand with a death grip, but like I love all of that, everything about being in the sky. So for my birthday, like 4 years ago, she bought me a Discovery flight at my local flight school. And then I went and I did a Discovery flight. I loved it. And, I was training in a Cessna, like 172. And
what's the Discovery flight?
That's like your first flight to see if you like flying.
So they just give you the keys and they say, go take it for a...
Yeah.
Take it first.
No, you get in the plane with a CFI or usually with an instructor, a certified flight instructor. You fly with them and they'll take you up for like 30 minutes they'll take you to see your house if you're local. Yeah. And, you look at, you find your house and stuff, and it's fun just to give you a sense of what like flight is really like. Because like on a 767, it's like totally different than when you're in a small airplane. So
yeah.
So I did that, and then I started lessons, and then I just kind of like couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So I stopped, and then last year I decided to get back into it again. And we live in a neighborhood like right next to my airport that I fly out of, so it's close proximity, and it's super. Just convenient to could literally walk like right up to where where the office is. And, so I started taking lessons again last year. I got into it and I just went like full force this time and, fly every week. It's a lot of ground school lately, more than flying the last few weeks, cause I had to take the test and I'm prepping for the check ride, and I got the flying part of it down. I can fly wherever I want by myself cause I'm a student pilot. But if I want to fly, my wife and I somewhere in our future, we also have a kid on the way.
Really?
Oh, congratulations!
So our daughter's going to be here in June.
Oh, nice.
So, a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. It's so much. It's like too much to take in. But yeah. So like if I want to fly them anywhere, we can go on a trip for a weekend to Nantucket or something. We could just fly there instead of having to like book an airline and.
And what, you just rent a plane or?
Yeah.
Or you just take one?
I just steal it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll just bring it back. I don't know if I'll bring it back, but that's the idea. But it's the whole idea of like, getting from A to B, like having it. It's so much more fun when you're the one doing it and you're in control.
Yeah.
And just like I'm totally in love with flying, and like there's nothing like it. Like especially when like the feeling when you have your first solo. And you're like, your instructor's not in the plane anymore, and you're up there by yourself, and you're like, wow, like I could die,
Yeah.
Or I could like safely get back to the airport. And
one or the other. Roll the dice.
But if I do safely get back, it's because I did it, like that feeling that you get when it's like, okay, I don't have somebody to take over. It's just like changes everything. And when you're in charge and you're flying it because you know how, it's just like, it's incredible. Yeah.
Are you like an adrenaline junkie in other ways, or is this like that's your outlet, the flying?
I'm into motorcycles.
Okay.
I'm starting to wean off of that because of the flying. It's also, motorcycles aren't very safe.
Very dangerous.
Yeah. But I still like riding my bike, but it's flying. When you're flying, like the cool thing is like I could like fly in one straight heading for a pretty long time, as long as I don't get any other airspace, and I'm probably not going to hit another airplane, right? But like when you're in a car and you're in a motorcycle or anything, there's traffic all around you. There's stuff all the time. You have to stop at stoplights. You have to do all this stuff. When you're up there, you're just soaring, and like the whole world is below you, and you're just like in your own world.
That's pretty crazy.
So it's a cool feeling. So as far as the adrenaline goes, I think it's really more from the flying. I've never gone skydiving. Have you guys? No.
I feel like once you're a pilot, you probably want to just stay in the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to fly the skydivers up and let them jump out. But
yeah.
It's probably dangerous if you're the one flying and the one skydiving.
And then you skydive. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
That's not ideal, probably.
But one thing I did learn just like a couple weeks ago, one of the people that was on the trip in Cabo is big into flying airplanes, and he was like he was showing me like planes. He's like, I want to buy a plane.
Yeah.
And he was like showing me pictures of them and stuff. And they have plane parachutes.
Yes.
It's a parachute for the whole plane.
So
What?
Yeah, it's a parachute. You know how it works like on a person?
Yes, I do.
I guess it's bigger.
yeah, it's called a cap chute.
Cap chute.
Yeah. It's in like it's like a cap, like basically on the top of the fuselage, like a cap will pop off and then a parachute comes out. You have to be you have to slow the plane down a lot, to almost where it's going to stall and like fall out of the sky. You can't do it at like full speed. The chute will just like rip Yeah. But like, God forbid something happened, you had engine failure or whatever, and you couldn't make it back to an airport or a safe field to land in, you could technically pull the chute. It's a Cirrus SR-22. Like the Cirrus aircraft are like known for that. That's like their thing.
That's what he was showing me. Yeah, Cirrus.
Yeah, they're very expensive airplanes.
Yeah, this one was about $250,000.
That's cheap for an airplane.
It was a used one.
Oh, okay.
It was
That's
a used
probably an
model.
SR-21 if they had it. Well, the SR-22s are like, you can't buy them now. They're like
What about
$1 million?
Do you think you could hop into a fighter jet and fly it, or is it totally different?
I don't think I even know how to start it. I don't know the ignition sequence, but if you like plopped me in a fighter jet, like
While it's in the
That was
air?
already
while it's
moving?
already flying, I'd probably do a better job than like you.
Yeah, I think so. I'd be like, how did I get it?
But I'm not saying I would do a much better job than
Okay.
you. I just think I think I'd be able to handle it somewhat, but it's totally different. They fly by totally different, like, so many details to it, but they're like
Is there a steering wheel?
kind of,
Yeah.
it's a yoke, or a control wheel, you call it, or, you know, some planes have sticks.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a yoke, and like when you turn left, the plane banks to the left. You turn right, the plane banks to the right. But then if you want to like turn it left like this, like that's called yaw. You use your rudder on the back on the tail.
It's like sailing.
And then if you
Yeah.
pull up, you know, the nose will pitch up, and you or pull back and you push forward, the nose will pitch down.
Huh.
Yeah. So
Sounds terrifying.
there's
No, thank
way
you.
more to it, but it is cool.
Yeah.
I'll take you flying sometime.
No.
Why not?
No.
There's an airport near here, right?
There's a bunch
Mount
of them.
Laurel, yeah.
Yeah. No, thank
Or
you.
Flying W.
It would have
is that what it's
taken me
called?
like I looked it up. It was
South
like
Jersey
20
Regional.
minutes
Oh,
from
that
my
would've been
house to
pretty-
here. Yeah,
that would've been
instead
pretty
of the hour
sick.
and 30-minute drive.
But then you'd still be like 25 minutes away, and you'd have to rent a car. I don't know if they have like an
could've
Avis
picked
rent a
him
car there.
could
We could have
probably-
done that.
Plus
yeah.
the alcohol, like percent. What is that called? The blood content,
yeah.
whatever.
It's
Yeah,
lower.
it's like 0% when you fly. Yeah.
That's probably a good bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems safe.
All right. Well, we're at the happy hour.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk forever.
I know.
Should we?
Yeah.
Should we just talk forever
We could. We could.
until we expire?
I've nowhere to be.
Me either. Is that it?
I guess so, yeah.
I guess that's it.
Yeah, unless we keep talking forever, but
I think
we'll.
You know what? Maybe we have him back on when you get your
He's pretty
when you
local.
get your plane.
I'll fly down here
Yeah.
Yes,
and I'll drink seltzer.
and we could bring the podcast stuff to the airport, and we could do it outside of a plane.
On
could do that.
scene?
That would be crazy.
We could literally do it like right out of the airplane.
That would be really
Love
sick.
That would be really cool.
Let's put that on the schedule. But Sean, seriously, thank you so
Yeah,
much
thanks so much for
coming
coming.
down
Thanks for
here.
having me.
It was awesome. I think a lot of people are going to learn a lot from you, and your story is going to resonate with people. It did with me.
Yeah, for sure.
I will
and
take
why don't
this
you
with me.
shout out your handles so people will know where to find you?
Yeah. So we're on Instagram. It's at Apex Home Design.
Okay.
Solid
Name of the
follow.
company.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's it. And or apexhomesnj.com.
Perfect.
Nice website, by the way. I did check that
Thanks.
out today.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, till next time, this has been the Hardworking Happy Hour.
See you next week.
See ya.